Hey folks, this is JDR from the Complaint Department. This is the YouTube channel. Thank you for viewing. All, I don't know, three of you that are left or whatever. um, Listen, I just wanted to take this time to just talk about some things that are kind of taboo in our society. And one of the things is mental illness, psychiatric disabilities, whatever. Um, Hold on. Sorry, sorry. Yeah, so I wanted to take this time to talk about taboo issues like mental illness and psychiatric disabilities. And, it's because of, what has happened in Oregon and what has constantly happened. That's not just a mental health issue, that is a gun issue that needs to seriously be addressed. And it is going on more and more. Now, not necessarily in the propensity in the they're not all going on like it's happened in Oregon, but there are a lot of things going on in the streets. And I live in Jamaica, Queens, in New York, and you see a lot of homeless, and you see a lot of desolate people, people that are forlorn, and people just don't know where to go. You know. And recently there was a documentary about homeless people, and there was this woman that was working two jobs, and she was making, I don't know, maybe 1,800 or something, and she was living in a shelter with a kid because she could not afford an apartment. Now it's really quite ridiculous the way apartments have come so expensive in New York City. If you look at it, if you just stand back and look at it, it looks like they really just want to get all the poor people and all the people that aren't middle class or upper middle class. They want to get them out. I don't know what they plan on doing with them, but they want to get them out because they are boxing them out. They are just simply making rents so expensive that you can have two or three jobs and not be able to afford an apartment, especially like if you have a kid. And these are one of the things that you know, kind of rock my mind. I have to say. And the other thing that is very important, because this apartment thing contributes to mental illness. If you are all of a sudden you're working and you can't get an apartment, but you're forced to live in a shelter, which can be so dangerous. I know I've lived in what was deemed the worst men's shelter in New York State. Okay, I was there for 2 weeks, and believe you me, it is the worst men's shelter in New York State. Now, how many shelters are there like that? How many, for women are there like that? When you have not substance abuse, but spousal abuse and stuff, and you have women running to these shelters and seeking help and refuge, and they find themselves being basically in a worse position than had they have just stayed with their aggressive husband or wife or whatever. And it's I say this because your boy the Blasio is taking a back seat. He doesn't want to know from this. As a matter of fact, he's going to always tell you it's not there. Whatever you're saying, it's not there. We're doing better than Bloomberg. We're doing better than Giuliani. And the fact is, it is a total lie. Okay? There are more homeless people. There are more jobless people. There are people who have jobs and can't get a home. I consider myself lucky because of the situation that I'm in, but that can change at any time. And I just find it incredibly naive. Or I don't know, maybe it's not naive, maybe it's more, narcissistic. Maybe, hey, I'm the Blasio. You don't tell me, I tell you. It's a big problem. And folks, and this is kind of hard for me to speak about, mental illness is a real thing. Whether you are schizophrenic or whether you are just suffering from depression. And let me jump into the depression part. Depression comes in 1,000 variations. You never see it, you never notice it, sometimes until it's too late. Sometimes if a person is bipolar, they'll exhibit signs of, manic depression, or, they're freaking, they're just not being themselves. And then on the other side, you see a person that appears to have it all together. But then when they go home, what happens is they are just super depressed. That's the best way for me to say it. I guess that's just the best way for me to say it, because people, the thing is that you can become introverted, but when you're out talking to people, well, you decide to be that person that they are expecting you to be. And it's hard to ask a person if they need help. One of the things is that a lot of people that suffer from depression, they don't want you sending them to rehab, or, oh, maybe you need to talk to this psychiatrist or whatever, or, social worker, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes they don't want that. So, because very often people that suffer from depression don't know what they want. They can't tell you what they want. They only know that they want to be left alone, and that they don't want to bother with any of society's crap, and they don't want to bother with anything. I mean, they don't want to answer the phone. They don't want to get out of bed. They don't want to eat. A lot of this, cultivates into smoking, abuse of alcohol. It's a very dangerous thing, and we seem to turn the blind eye. And the reason that we're turning a blind eye to it is simply because we don't know it. Because it's not something that you can just grab onto and say, I gotcha, this is it, and now I'm going to find out how to take care of it. It's not that type of thing. Depression can be the most deviant of all mental illnesses, because it comes in many variations, like I said before. There's bipolar depression, manic depression. Like I said, You can know somebody for years and never know that that person was suffering under depression. And then one day we remember Robin Williams. Look what he had. Look at everything that he had and look what happened. And this is what depression is about. It is a very strong and dangerous I illness. Okay? And that's coming from JDR, Complaint Department. I'm getting the Complaint Department podcast ready for tomorrow, Saturday. It's going to be on your iTunes, your iOS, your Android, and Podomatic.com. You got David Robinson on Blogspot.com. You've got me here at the Complaint Department YouTube channel. And you've got Tawa Kwan at your-poetry.com. And you might ask yourself, well, why am I coming out and saying this? Well, I'm coming out and saying this because I am one of those people. I suffer very often from depression. And to be honest with you, the last few weeks for me have not gone well. Not gone well. I mean, it's not just a psychological thing, but the psychological thing turns into a physical thing. I don't want to eat. I spent just in the last 2 days over $22 over, I bought food from Subways. I took 2 bites. I had to puke. I bought food today that cost me $12. I took 3 bites and I'm like, what is this? I don't want to get out of bed in the mornings. I don't want to answer the phone. I don't want to be a part of anything at the moment until this goes away. But when is it going to go away? And many of you are going to say, well, you know what? There are people out there that can help you with that. Yeah, you know what? You'd never really help a person with depression. You think that you do. I think the best way to help a person with depression is just to say, hey, listen, I got you. Okay? No matter what it is, I got you. That would be the best thing. Okay, this is Complaint Department YouTube channel. I'm out. Thank you for listening and viewing. And don't forget the podcast should be out on Saturday if I get out of bed. All right? Bye-bye.